Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do a review and demo on the SheaMoisture Weightless Shea Serum foundation. This is a new foundation that just came out, and SheaMoisture, they've done more like on the bath and the hair products. They've had some makeup here and there, and I feel like they just kind of came out with a bunch of new makeup. I got mine from Ulta. You can also find SheaMoisture at Target and probably a couple of other places. This runs on Ulta for about $15. Target, you can probably find maybe like $13 to $15 range. So it's a little bit more on the expensive side, higher end. I feel like SheaMoisture is definitely maybe more like a women of color foundation. So they have about 20 different shades, which is really nice. However, I feel like they do run on the darker side. I got mine in the shade Latte. This is like the second to lightest shade. It actually suits me pretty well. I felt like, which is really nice at Ulta. If you want to check it out at Ulta first, because they have testers, which is actually really great, which makes it really easy to find your shade. Because I felt like the first like lightest shade, that was going to be a little bit too light. So I was like, you know what, is Latte going to be a little bit too dark? But I think it suited me a little pretty well. If anything, maybe it could have been a little bit lighter, but then the next shade up would be way too dark. I was like, let's try this one out, and if we have to come back, we can either exchange, which Ulta has a really good exchange policy, or we can just mix if we have to. But I think this one worked out pretty well for me. I'll list the rest of like my shades that I am in different foundations, just so you guys can kind of compare maybe where you might be on the spectrum. One I will mention, MAC, I am an NC25. I run on the lighter side, but I'll have the rest, like so many other drugstore at a high end, in case you kind of want to gear where you'll be. But if you can find an Ulta, then kind of try to color match yourself. This is supposed to be like a really, like it says, weightless, natural finish foundation, easily bendable. It is definitely more on the watery side. So I'm going to put some in it, like it's runny. So I was like, okay, this is pretty watery. So I thought it was going to be a really light coverage. It's going to be more water based. So I was going to have to build it up. I will say that personally, the first time that I used it, I used more pumps than I had to. So I was like, ooh, no, that's way too much. It looked a little bit cakey on me. I would say you will be fine with 1 to 1.5 pumps. That's all you need for this foundation. I was actually really impressed on how well it covered. Even though it was watery, it covered pretty well. Still looking like it does look, I will say that it looks like a very natural, luminous foundation. Because I personally do set my makeup with Max Fix Plus and a makeup setting spray, but while experimenting with it, I used it with my Max Fix Plus, I used it without my Max Fix Plus, I used it with just like kind of a setting spray, because I always use setting spray and I always use Max Fix Plus, but I wanted to see, you know, is the luminosity coming from the Max Fix Plus or the foundation? The luminosity definitely, I feel like it's coming from the foundation. It delivers its own luminosity, not super dewy. And I'm dry skin, and it was pretty luminous on me, so I was pretty impressed with that. I didn't know what to expect from this foundation, so that's why I feel like if you're oily, I feel like you're either gonna like it or you're not. If you're normal, I think you'll like it even better than me, because throughout wearing it the first day, I didn't like it because I used way too much. Do not overdo with this, or else it will look kind of cakey. I kind of noticed on my forehead and on my nose. But then when I just used like a pump and a half, it looked really great. I was actually really liking how luminous it felt and how light it felt. And I will say the blendability is really good. It blends so easily because it is more like of a water base. I will say though that the coverage, it's definitely like a light, and you can build it up to medium, but be careful how you build this up and which areas you build it up, because it will look cakey. I will say that you can still kind of see, I have like acne around here, and I have some little acne spots here, so you can kind of still see. So this is going to be great for like the summertime, you know, for those days where you don't want to wear too much foundation. You still want that like natural finish, but I do like that it does deliver a really nice natural glow even for dry skin. So who knows, maybe normal to oily, you might see that glow even more. I was actually pretty impressed about how much I like this foundation, because I wasn't sure what was to come with it. I was like, you know what, I don't know, it seemed pretty like luminous when I did swatches on my hands. It didn't seem dry, so I was like, let's try it out. So I feel like I have some pros and I have some cons. I will say though, this is on my dry skin, so I'm wondering how it is on normal to oily skin. Because it does have that luminous, I feel like it does feel so moisturizing, it does feel hydrating, it doesn't feel like super matte or dry on my skin. So I love that, but at the same time, something with Luminous to Dewy foundations, it doesn't feel like it ever really sets. And normally with some foundations like that, I'm like okay with it. I can still feel it, you know, like a little bit, not kind of tacky, but it's like a doable tacky where it's like, okay, it's not gonna really like rub off on me. Like this is one of those foundations where you have to be careful, like maybe how you like hug people, you gotta like move your face away, you know, or like, you know, bumping into walls or bumping into anybody, because this like will come off. I feel as though, like, you know, sometimes maybe you might feel like a little bit itchy or might like touch your face or whatever. With this foundation, I feel like if any like way that I touch my face, I'll leave an imprint of my fingers because it doesn't really set. I kind of don't like that. I feel like every time maybe I might accidentally like kind of touch my face, I'll notice a fingerprint. I'm kind of gotta like dab and blend it together, and that's like, it's kind of weird because usually foundation should kind of set. And I even add powder. I set it with powder too, and this is even with not too much foundation, not too much powder, and it's not cakey. It just doesn't set, and any little imprint is gonna stay on there. So that I'm not a big fan of. I'm okay with it, but I don't know. I feel like you just have to be really, really careful, and I don't know. I just don't want my own fingerprints all over my face, and it just makes it look like unblended, and I don't want to have to carry beauty blender around throughout the day. The other thing that I kind of noticed, but this isn't something too unnormal for me, usually with foundations, my problem areas, whereas oily people, I feel like they get like their T-zone gets oily. My T-zone gets dry with certain foundations, and I noticed that after a couple of hours, normally by the end of the day, I noticed my nose and maybe my forehead area will get a little bit drier. The rest of my face still looks really luminous. This does last like the whole work day, 8 hours. I think it's a really long lasting foundation, but my nose and my T-zone do get dry maybe around like the 6 hour mark, 5.5, 6 hour mark. So I'm not a fan of that. I kind of touched on how buildable it is. I think this is going to depend on your skin type. I feel like normal skin, you can try to build it up another layer to give you more coverage. Oily skin, you can probably do the same. I feel like dry skin, it's going to get cakey the more that you build it up. So I feel like areas where you need more coverage, I would say go with concealer and then the foundation instead of adding more foundations. Especially around these areas, try to avoid adding excess foundation. So I don't know. I feel like I actually do like this foundation. It's got its pros and it's got its cons, but it doesn't have like cons where I'm like, oh my god, no, I don't like it at all. I think it's definitely worth trying out. See if you like it. I feel like the first day that I tried it, I was kind of intrigued by it. I was like, I want to try this again and again, and then I want to test it out again. So normally with the first time I try a foundation, I'm like, oh god, I don't even want to test it out anymore, but I have to really give you guys a full-on review. I already know I'm not gonna like it, but this one I was like, let's try it, and let's try it with different things, different products. And I don't know, it's definitely a foundation where it's like, you know what, if I, you know, have to try a foundation, wear one today, I don't mind using this one. I kind of want to try this one out today. So it's definitely, I like it. I don't love it. I like it. I do wish though that maybe I'm gonna try to experiment with some other things to keep it from like, to help it set a little bit better, maybe use a little bit less, maybe, I don't know. But I definitely think it's worth experimenting with and kind of keeping in my collection. So I just wanted to test it out for you guys. If anybody else has tried it out and you have liked it or have not liked it, let me know why and maybe like what your skin type is, just to kind of gear like, okay, who is this kind of better for? I think dry skin, definitely check it out. I was afraid it's going to be too drying, a little bit too matte, but I actually do like the way it feels on my skin and the way that it sits on my skin. I think it sits on the skin really, really nicely. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review and a demo. I'll link down below some other reviews and demos of foundations. I have this obsession with foundations. Foundations, concealers, and other products. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with some more videos, and I'll see you guys next time.